Hello and welcome to all of you out there. This is a video about the lunar eclipse that is going to occur around and about the 8th of November of this year. So it's going to be an eclipse in again. So I already made the video of the solar eclipse. This one is just about the lunar eclipse in Taurus at 16 degrees. The moon will be in Taurus at 16 degrees. And the sun will be in Scorpio at 16 degrees, opposing each other. That is what we call a full moon. But because the eclipse is on nearby, we say that it is an eclipse, a lunar eclipse in this case. Now, so the North Node in this case is next to the moon. The North Node is going to be in Taurus around at about 13 degrees, so very close to the moon. And then the South Node will be next to the sun in Scorpio. So what is this all about? You're gonna find out in this video in general. And it's always interesting to watch this part and then look at your specific sign. Of course, together with all the other videos that I make, like the monthly horoscopes, to have a bit of an overview, and then the solar eclipse and what the Mars retrograde and whatnot. But this one, what is this all about, this lunar eclipse? Now, let's start with first things first, which is the Saros cycle that it belongs to. It belongs also to the Saros cycle 6 South. So again, a very Venusian, you could say, kind of Saros cycle. And this cycle is all about suddenness and all about relationships and all about, you could say, sudden shifts in that. You know, you could say Venus and Uranus, whenever you see that, of course, Venus is love and Venus is how we connect, and Uranus is the planet of freedom, the planet of liberation. So put these two together and you get indeed a relationship that is quite liberating, a relationship that has to do with sudden falling in love, sudden sex, sudden, but also the opposite, which is sudden no sex anymore and sudden breakups. I'm giving you the extremes here, so you know how this works. I mean, people who are watching this, they know me for a while, or if you are new to this channel, you will know that I always recommend, like, look, hey, we are astrologers that are reading for many people, so you know your story. And indeed, this energy, if you have a relationship that is really not working, that has really been going on for years and years and weeks and months in a very negative way, yes, you want to see that energy to do a breakup. You know, sometimes we tend to forget that sometimes people really wait for the perfect timing, and there's a hair in my ear. There's a hair in my ear. No, there's a hair in my eye. Anyway, so, you know, it's the curly hair again. I got a lot of comments on that. But anyway, it's not about me. It's about you out there wanting to know what's going on. So this, yes, it's a very frustrating eclipse. And I say that with a smile on my face because we can deal with this. Of course we can. And why is that? Because this eclipse, you know the flavor, the Saros cycle, it's about relationships. It's about, of course, for everyone it's different, but it's about relationships. It's about sudden events. It's about sudden things that can change lifetimes, right? It can mean like, and Venus and Uranus, it's also very friendly. You know, people who've got Venus and Uranus in their chart, they love their friends. Or sometimes friends become lovers and vice versa. It's that kind of energy. They are very friendly orientated. They must have for their mate, you can say, it must be someone who feels like a friend. You know, that's the energy of a Venus-Uranus. But it's also about, I don't want to be conventional. You know, yes, I met someone, it's that kind of energy. I met someone, yes, he's 25 years younger than me, so that's Venus-Uranus. Another thing that is Venus-Uranus is like, yeah, I fall for this astrologer, for instance. You know, falling in love with an astrologer is very Venus-Uranus-like. Why am I saying this? Not that you're going to do that, but it's just an example, because Uranus is things that are uncommon, and it the hair is annoying me again anyway, so sorry. But anyway, that's also Venus Uranus. It's all over the place, right? Uranus is about being bold, being honest, and the types that we tend to fall for when we have a Venus-Uranus transit, for instance, or in our natal chart, or even in a solar return. It's unconventional. You know, you could say astrologers, are they unconventional? They are, because it's not a typical way. It's still, I live here in Belgium. When I say that I'm an astrologer, you know, when I meet people for the first time, it's like, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. And what did you study in your life? I did economics. Can you remember? No, I can't. That seems to be another life. And then they get to the part, what do you do for a living? And then I say astrologer, and then it's like a record. Then they say, well, what went wrong with this one? I mean, people in Belgium, they are very down to earth, and it's not like in America where everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people go to astrologers like they go to the grocery store. It's nothing like that here in Belgium. But anyway, times are shifting. I'm getting more and more Belgian people who watch my videos. Can you imagine? And, but I'm digressing again. But what I want to say is, this Uranus energy is all over the place. It's like what I'm doing now. But at least it's exciting. If you want to embracing it, it gives you courage to do the things that or to go for the things that you love, that you didn't have enough courage for. That's also Venus Uranus, you know. Maybe you are single for years and years and years. Now Venus Uranus is saying, come on, go on that date. Go on that date, go out there and do something you've never done before. Or if you've been going on dates all of the time, then you do something that you've never done before, maybe to go on a trip with people that you don't know, you know, for a holiday. You know, that kind of stuff. Doing something, we are all asked to do something that we've never done before, period. And that demands courage, and that demands out of the comfy zone. And oh boy, is this out of the comfy zone. Because why am I talking about Venus-Uranus aspects? Because Venus is the ruler of this full moon, right? And the moon is with Uranus. So, and this is one of the most, you could say, unsettling energies, and at the same time, liberating energies. So whenever you have moon with Uranus, it means a shake-up. And but the thing that this is not going to be too much unsettling. Don't worry. It's not going to be too much unsettling, and I'll explain why. Because moon with Uranus in itself is to break free from emotional patterns that have been going on for years and years and years, and that are no longer suiting us. So that's a big thing. When we have that on its own, it is unsettling. So it's like you feel like, I mean, you don't have any grounding anymore. It's very unsettling. But in this case, when this is going on, moon with Uranus, it squares up to Saturn. And that means stability. Even how strange it sounds. So although this is frustrating energy, I think this is an energy that I see a lot of people are in at the moment, which is one leg in the old and one leg in the future, in the new life. And we can say this is annoying energy, but I don't want you to see it as annoying energy, because then you are resisting it. I want you to see it as a step forwards, that this frustrating energy gets us to where we want, because ultimately Uranus wins. Ultimately Uranus is further away than Saturn, and ultimately Uranus stays longer there, because next year we're not going to have this square anymore. Uranus square Saturn. It's going to be Uranus and not Saturn anymore. So whatever it is that you are shifting from the old to the new, an old job to a new job, an old relationship to a new relationship, or maybe the same relationship, but an upgrade, right? From being living apart to living together, from no children to children, from, or maybe indeed for some of you, being married to getting divorced. All these stages, they need time, and they need perfect timing. And for a lot of you, this perfect timing will not be specifically on this eclipse, but it will be the start of it. Because whenever we feel a lot of tension, we sometimes need that tension in order for us to do different things, to shift and to change. So I want you to welcome this energy. Yes, a lot of astrologers, including myself, are probably gonna, I don't know what other astrologers are saying, but they probably will say a bit the same, I hope. I hope, otherwise, you know, astrology is a very individual thing, but it isn't. You know, they will also talk about this Uranian energy and then the Saturn energy that wants to keep same old, same old. It's a struggle that we know, many of us going in, you know, at some stages of our life, we want to stick to the old. We don't want to be the new thing. We don't want to go too quickly on that either. And nature is like that, that it gives us exactly what we need, not what we want. So for all of us, we are at that stage where we are being forced to see what liberates us and what gives us a lot of energy, and that is related to our future. We're gonna see it like no before this year, and that's gonna be that Uranus energy. So don't run away from it, welcome it, but also don't leave the Saturnal life for what it is. Because the Saturnal life, I mean the same old energy, there are some parts of that that are interesting. There are some parts of that that you take with you. And there are some parts of that that you say no longer, thank you very much. So for some, this will not be connected to a connection. This will be connected to a way of thinking, as if this is happening in your 3rd and 9th house, for instance. And for others, this will have to do something with their work if it's happening in the 6th and the 10th house, and so on and so on. What a beautiful opportunity here. If we see it and if we handle it and manage it in the right way, we are working towards liberation, which is coming next year, when we don't have Saturn blocking this Uranus anymore. You know, it's not going to last forever. And so use this Saturn, which could be fear, yes, but use the fear to prepare yourself. That's the whole thing, you know. What do they say to people that are fearful of taking a certain step? If they are fearful, for instance, if you are a person and you just had a negative experience with someone that attacked you on the street, for instance, then what do? You don't want to go for the rest of your life staying inside, right? So that Uranus transit would say, like, look, girl, go out there. You have to go into the world to explore and to experience new things. And the Saturn is saying, I don't want that anymore. I don't want to be attacked anymore. So I'm not going on the streets anymore. It's that split that is occurring, you could say. It's not really a split, it's stress. It's two opposing energies, and what you do is handling them together. So you go on the street, but you do something to calm the Saturnal fear, which would be like, you could go with a pepper spray, or how do they call that? You know, you take into your bag a pepper spray. For instance, I'm just giving you this very simple example, but it shows it very well. You go with a pepper spray, and you have courage, which is Uranus. Uranus wants you to go further, to step further, to go over your fears and become a stronger person, and to believe again, to trust again. And when you're doing that, you're still handling these two fears, these two energies, sorry, but you're handling it in the right way. You're managing it, you know, and it's still there though. I mean, the fear is not going to go away. Next year, the Saturn there is not going to block Uranus anymore. So you're going to do things full on, but that's for next year. We have to stick to what we have now. So is this an annoying, frustrating eclipse? Absolutely. But what a chance, right? Can you imagine that person who was so afraid to walk down the street again and takes her pepper spray with her? Could be a man as well, but anyway, it takes a pepper spray with her and she does it. what kind of a relief that is, what kind of a, yes, you feel still stressed, but stress is not always, you could say, if you run away from the stress, it's sometimes worse, right? It's not going to help you. So that is what this Uranus Saturn is all about, the square. And the Uranus is the reward, feeling emotionally free again, which is, again, it is a good example, isn't it? I hope it is. But anyway, let's break this down. Let's have a look at unexpectedly what is becoming very clear for us that is going to be of value for the future. I didn't mention that because this is Taurus. Taurus is about what is valuable. But let's go into the signs a bit quickly here, but just to know the area of life. So for Aries people, this is your second house. This is about your worth. This is about who am I? And this is stressing you. The Saturn is stressing you for sure. You expect a lot, and maybe your friends are pushing you or not pushing you. They are maybe restricting you in a way. But the thing is, you want to own certain things, and literally, or just when it comes to your energy. So this is all about your worth. This is also for a lot of you Aries people, your money. There is a liberation coming from you if you allow the fear to come up and to work with that fear that has to do with social activities, maybe a social anxiety that you have, or maybe a goal that you have and that you're very afraid to go forward with this goal for whatever reason it is. So for you, it's not so much about other people, it's about you. And of course you can say it's the more you are going to value other people's values, the worse. So the best thing that you can do as an Aries is to value you, is to have a look at what you find very important and what gives you security in life, and to go after that. Taurus people, this is of course you. It's you who needs to liberate you. And of course, in a way, we all have to do that. But it's particularly for you the case. Wow, if you have a birthday around 16 degrees of Taurus, you are going to feel this eclipse for sure. And I'm just going to, it's the very early May born people at 16 degrees. Yes, it's when you have a birthday on the 7th, on the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. Those people will feel it the most, but every Taurian will feel it. But this is you showing the others in your relationships, because it's the first house versus the 7th house. It's you showing, this is what I need, and it's take it or leave it. And yes, there's going to be a tension when it comes to your reputation. Saturn, and you're afraid of your reputation. What are all the people, what is the public gonna say, you could say. But do it anyway, what you need to do, because it's so liberating. And the fear is something you need to manage anyways. You can't run away from it. So whatever this is for you, yes, it's about your relationships. Yes, it's about showing your truth. It's about being honest. It's about, but know that this is liberating. Know that this is about you expressing yourself. There's like a new birth here. I really like this for Taurians, but it's for Taurians who've got a lot of courage. Because if not, this could be very unsettling. And especially when it comes to relationships, because this is a full moon after all. So, so yes, this is definitely about love. The best thing that you can do is managing your fears in a way when it relates to what other people think of you, also your career. So what is the career doing here? And to adjust it, to follow your responsibilities and not run away from that. And Taurus people are very responsible people, so I'm quite excited for you, for sure. So do what you've got to do, and do it for you, and pray that that is going to be good for the highest good as well. And you send out that energy. I know praying, you know, a lot of people say, but if you don't believe in, you know, all this, that something is bigger than us and that there is a higher power, you could say to yourself, I'm doing this for me and for others at the same time. Anyway, Geminis, this is happening in your 12th house. Although it is not the biggest thing for you, this full moon, It is happening in a part of your chart that is the unconscious. So there could be some illuminations happening through things that you do when you get in touch with the unconscious. So that could be through a meditation, through when you're working with a therapist and you're digging deep and you want to know some clues there, or when you're working with people that are energy workers and they're trying to tell you something about your own energy that is unconscious. All of these things are so interesting for you to get to know yourself better. And yes, it's a bit unsettling. And yes, your mind is saying, should I be doing this? Because this Saturn of you is in your area of life that has to do with the way that you think. So you could hold yourself back because of old beliefs that absolutely are very suppressing you rather than bringing you to new consciousness. But whatever it is, there's definitely happening something there in the unconscious. And you know, the more you have an understanding of those blind spots, the better choices you can make. So you could say, yeah, for Gemini it's not important, but it can do a lot of good ultimately. So make the best out of that. Cancerians. Also for you, I think, because this is happening in Taurus and in Scorpio, this all goes well very much with the Cancerians. So for you, it's a rather enjoyable full moon, and it's happening in your 11th house. So the 11th house is the house of friends and the house of your goals for the future. There is definitely new light, new excitement around these teams and friends that can give you a freshness, that can give you hope. So welcome those. And yes, there is this there is this trust issues with your Saturn in the 8th house. That is trust issues, and you know, being afraid of being vulnerable, and that is all understandable. So don't be open to anyone. That's not what I'm saying here. But choose wisely and use your gut feeling. If there is something that you want to share with someone, with a friend, for instance, because this is the friend house, do it wisely. Follow your gut feeling, not your fear feeling, but your gut feeling. And yes, this is a time for you where around the 8th of November, where you can have more fun, and notwithstanding the fact some heaviness is surrounded with it as well. Leos, this is a very important full moon for you, especially if you've got Leo planets around 16 degrees. There comes the sun again, you know, it's your sign. I'm going to do a little thing here to that the sun will not be in my eye for all of the time, right? But it's nice that this comes up when I'm doing the Leo sign, which is all the sign about the sun. And you see the sun, it's not so easy to put it away. It's a shame that I'm putting it away. I'm not putting it away, I'm just managing it, right? And I want you to do the same, to manage that fire in you, right? Because this is what it's all about. This moon Uranus is in the 10th house, which is your public life. So there's something exciting happening there. Don't be too much afraid of it, especially when a person is not, that you are close to, is not wanting this and is restricting this. Respect that. But also, that is where the management lies. So it could mean that a person is holding you back, but ultimately you're holding yourself back. So sometimes when we try to convince another person, like for instance, this could be that you want another job and your spouse is saying, oh, you're crazy, you know. So this would rather mean that you go for the job, but that you respect also why your spouse is afraid, and that you work on that. And that you restore that kind of energy, so that you can manage these two conflicting energies. For others, this has to do really with your public life and how other people see you. So you could be doing something really out of the ordinary with this moon Uranus there. I really like that energy. So if you're going around that time, have to do something, you know, in your to present yourself in a way, or my goodness me, people are going to be at the top of their chair. How do you say that? They're going to be very, very excited when they hear you talking about that. Virgos, this is not the most difficult challenge for you, because Taurus is a fellow earth sign. So this is a rather good energy for you, especially when you have Virgo planets around 16 degrees. This shows new things coming up for you that are connected to your 9th house. And the 9th house is a public house. So I'm a Virgo. I hope that, you know, people will subscribe so much and will find my videos so exciting that they're sharing it all over the place. You know, for example. And but Saturn is in the 6th house, so the day-to-day routines are a little bit rough and tough to do. Again, putting it to the example of my life, which is not, I want to say that, you know, I'm the most important Virgo, although in a way. Anyway, I'm digressing again. But the Saturn could mean that you have to do these things that you don't love to do. Like, look, I don't like to put timestamps. I don't like to on videos. I don't like to think about a tag and a snapshot and I all hate it. I definitely don't like to do that. But I see now that when I'm doing it, a lot of people are really appreciating that. And even, you know, they find it easier to access the video, and it has all 1,000 of other good things there. It's not that I don't want to do it for my viewers. It's nothing to do with the viewers. It all has to do with me. But you see, this energy of this Uranus that you want to go broad, the 9th house is the house of publishing, or even YouTube videos is also the 9th house. And then the Saturn is your day-to-day work that you have to do for it. You know, these videos, they seem like I don't have to do any effort, but you have to. You have to edit them. You have to make sure that, you know, things that are not really good, that you have to put them out of the video, and so on and so on. So for you Virgos, in a nutshell, this is all about your thoughts, about the 9th house, which could also mean travel for some people. So that you have to travel for your work and you really want to do that, or you want to write more, or you want to teach more, or you want to study more. But that Saturn in the 6th is about, I have to do the effort, right? And yes, don't forget this. A lot of you would say, but don't Virgos like to work? It's a misunderstanding. Yes, Virgos who've got their Virgo planets in the 6th house, they like to work. But not all Virgos have their Virgo planet in the 6th house, do they? Right? So it all depends on your personal chart. It's just the same like they say, like Virgos, they love to clean. That's not true. Not all Virgos. You see, but I'm digressing again. What I'm trying to say is that you can go for expansion when it comes to your knowledge, when it comes to a new paradigm that you believe in, when it comes to exploring new countries, international connections, wow, fantastic. When it comes to feeling very nurtured by learning something new, that opens your horizon. But at the same time, you've got to do the effort. You've got to do the daily routines. Like if it is the study that I'm talking about, you have to study every single day. Right? That's Saturn in your 6th house. You know, that kind of energy. So it's not really about relationships for you. But it's a lot about your knowledge. It's a lot about the way that you see life. And it's a lot about your perspective. Librans, this is happening in your 8th house. That means that you want to go for those transformations. You want to go for the transformation. So you Librans, you are, although this is not the easiest energy with the moon and Uranus in your 8th house, because this is about sudden events that are out of your control. But if you know, like, if you can control that fear, that Saturn in the 5th, that knowing that, hey, the way that I express myself, I have to do it in a fair way, and you know, being the good Libra as you are, I think you will be fine. And I think you will be one of those signs that do really transform tremendously through these eclipses. You know, the North Node in the 8th means a whole transformation. So there could be some crises going on for you, but they have to deal with this stepping into the unknown. And so that the unknown is actually preferable, but it will take courage. That's also the 5th house, you know, it's that managing of that very fiery energy and dramatic energy as well. So the 8th house is also the value of other people. It's trusting. Maybe your trust was broken and now you have to trust again because of a certain situation. You know, sometimes we are obliged to trust and we don't even know what's going to happen, but there's nothing else we can do because it's out of our control. So there could be many items, of course, or many situations, but that's the energy. The more you are trying to not face it, the worse. So do face it, but try to be very clear in what it is that you want to express and do that in a manageable way. And you will be fine. So it can also have to deal with money of other people that you have to arrange in a way, and so money that you've loaned, for instance, or money that there could be something happening in the income of your spouse or of your boyfriend, girlfriend, if you're living with someone. So, and that has an effect on you having to take that, you know, mature energy around how you express yourself. So, so very interesting. But again, it's not the life-changing, you could say, of this is a totally new relationship or this is a totally new job. That's not what I'm talking about. It's more personal, it's more psychological. And I hope that this will allow you that those transformations are done as a process. You know, you've been working on this for a long time. So this is definitely not something that you did not know is coming. That would be if Moon Uranus is alone, and it's not, it's with Saturn. So, so yeah, very interesting for the Librans. Scorpios, so important here for you, for your relationships, because specifically if you have planets around 16 degrees, you know, 60 degrees of Scorpio, this is all happening in your opposite sign of relationship. So yes, this is what I said in the beginning. This is very applicable for you. It's all about this new way of you doing relationships, your attitude around relationships. And you're afraid to take a new attitude, but you need to. There's something that you need to liberate yourself from. So, but there is a fear involved, and the fear is your emotional security, because you think you're not going to make it, because you think you're not going to survive it, because you think, of course, on a figurative level, but the thing is, you're stronger than you think. You're Scorpio. I mean, it's one of the strongest signs of the zodiac. Of course, every sign has its strength. Don't get me wrong here, but it's a sign that can deal very well with transformation at the end. I mean, the process for a transformation is enormously intense for a Scorpio, but once it has done it, there's no way back. So yeah, for those of you who struggle in a relationship, who absolutely know that this is toxic, this is not good, this is not working, this could mean that something comes up that all of a sudden it is released here. For others, this could absolutely mean a new relationship. And oh boy, is this going to be a very exciting one. I mean, the North Node and the Moon and Uranus all in your 7th house. So this is someone that is in your life to show you something about freedom for sure. Even if it's there that a person sometimes arrives in your life to let go of another person. I know this sounds very all Scorpionic-like, but life is like that. Sometimes we need someone else that we see, oh yeah, that is a possibility that it, you know, there's other people, my goodness me, and they care and they respect. So sometimes we truly need those people to end another relationship. But of course, for some of you, there is truthfulness here. For some of you, this is a whole new love story. For some of you, this is a whole new way of doing relationships, of not clinging too much and not being avoidant too much, but in a healthy way. You invest 50 and they invest 50. What have I said now? No, 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 no. I take that back. I have my Venus in Scorpio, so I think I know a lot about Scorpios. But I'm not saying a 50%. You invest 100%. But you need to go for people who also invest 100%. If you're finding that, and take it from a Venus in Scorpio person. Take it from a Venus in Scorpio person. You know, I'm not going to say someone with Scorpionic energy has to fall in love with another person that also has Scorpio energy. Am I saying this? Yes, I'm saying this actually. It's true. It's true. I've seen it many times. You know, when you are that Scorpionic intensity and you are together with someone who's super light, they say opposites attract. It's not working in the long run. Unless you want something in the short run. But it's not working in the long run. You need someone that understands you. And you, dear Scorpios, you are a complex person, but you need someone who finds that intriguing, finds that interesting. So this is a whole shift for you, how to do relationships. Very interesting. Sagittarians, this is happening in your 6th house. So what is that all about? This is your routines. This is your day-to-day work. This is how you do things on a day-to-day basis. This is your health. This is what do you do to keep yourself healthy, mentally, physically. All these, you know, it's a bit boring, to be honest. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius rising, so you know what I know what you're going through when it comes to these Uranus kind of energy in your 6th house. You could be all over the place when it comes to your routine. So there could be something shifting here with the moon Uranus in your 6th house drastically, that your day-to-day life shifts completely. That could be, of course, everything. These are general horoscopes. Take it how this resonates, but there's going to be something that will shift your day-to-day work completely. But rather than seeing it as a disturbant thing, I think many Sagittarians will welcome it. But anyway, because, you know, it's kind of their vibe. The Saturn is in the 3rd house, so it's your way of thinking that is holding you back. So try to manage the way that you think, and you will be able to implement totally newness in your work area, totally freshness in your work area. Yes, this could be the moment of saying, or deciding at least, to say, no, I'm stopping with the former job, I'm going for the new one. But the Saturn is still there, so you're taking the steps to make that happen. Which is if you say, yeah, I don't like my old job, and you're not doing anything to find a new one, well, then it's complaining for the complaining. That's not typical Sagittarian, so you're not going to do that. I'm convinced of that, for sure. So, but it's definitely that moment of, look, it's holding me back, but what is holding me back? It's my thoughts. I have to create them in a positive way, in a constructive way, and in a process. You've got time. Very, very interesting. Also, your health. You could do a lot of things now that help your health. I'm taking, for instance, now vitamins. Never done that before. You know, because I think I eat well, so you know. So taking some vitamins, shifting some of your routines, and doing a bit of unusual stuff that you've never done before. You know, like for me, taking vitamins is an unusual thing. For you, this might be the most common thing. So you may not, you can't do, in astrology, when you do astrology, you can't take yourself as a standard. You can take yourself as an example to explain it, but you can't take yourself as a standard. So Uranus is what you think is out of the ordinary. Do it, and it's going to help your work tremendously. You're going to find more meaning out of it, more honesty, more all of the good stuff. Capricorns, this is a nice eclipse. Even though it's a very hard one, this is trining your Capricornian energy. Taurus and Capricorn, both earth signs, and it's happening in your 5th house of the self-expression, of your children, of your projects, of your heart. So there is definitely, do something that you've never done before. If you're single, go out there, go on that blind date, go on that, do something that you've never done before. Go for that hobby that you've never done before. Go out with friends and do something with them that you've never done before. The thing that is holding you back, Saturn, is your second house. So this could be literally your money. You don't have money or enough money to go out and etc. But try to manage that. If you don't, why don't invite some people out at your house, and you can do it in a more manageable way. You are clever enough to manage that. And it's also the second house, Saturn there, it's also your self-worth. There is like this insecurity around self-worth. Try to manage that. What is it trying to tell you? What about yourself? Why don't you feel good enough for something? Why is that? And what that is holding you back to express yourself. So, but you will express yourself whether you like it or not with Uranus there. So it's a very interesting challenge here that I really, really like for the Capricorns, because they are entitled to have fun as well. So this is all about how you enjoy life. What is important for you to enjoy yourself and doing it. Aquarians, super important. This is a very important eclipse. A bit or a lot of frustration there, to be honest, right? We're not sugarcoating here. But the thing is, the closer it is to 16 degrees of Aquarius, the more you're gonna feel it. If you are an Aquarian at 0 degrees, you're gonna feel it still, but way less. Now, this is all happening in your 4th house. So there is newness there about your emotions, about the way that you handle your own emotions, you being your own parent. You need to do that in a different way. Or you need to start doing that if you haven't done that before. And what is holding you back is you. Saturn in your 1st house. You are holding yourself back. You are not allowing yourself to be your own best parent, to be your own best emotional supporter. You don't need anyone else. In this stage, of course, we are human beings. We need social connections and blah, blah, blah. But with this astrology, you don't need those parents unless you are under 14, but or maybe under 15. But I hope you're not watching this then, because, these general horoscopes, you have to watch them with a piece of, how do you say that? With some peace and with some, I'll take what resonates. And that's a bit harder when you're younger. But anyway, Aquarians, this is the moment for you to break free. To break free from roots that are totally different than how you are. And this is one of the most difficult things to do. And that's why it's for Aquarians so difficult as well, these eclipses, because it's in all the fixed signs, and that is key areas of your life. So this is how you are rooted, how you are nourished, and how you were nourished in the past. But it is like, look, it has to do with how you are your own best parent, basically. And that is what a lot of I see Aquarians understanding at this particular moment. It's, of course, for some of you, it's about buying and selling a house. Absolutely. So there is fear involved here, which is normal. You're getting out of the comfort zone, I mean, a tremendous amount here. But it's about liberating yourself as well, to feel freer, to feel better, to feel more nourished in a way. So don't fall into the trap of I'm going to live in this house because this house is not good enough for me, or the neighborhood, or blah blah blah, doing things outside of you. No, focus on what can you do on the inside to nurture yourself. What can you do on the inside to kind of do like this, and not in an exaggerating way, but to say like, yeah, it's all right, whatever, that mum energy. It's a lot about mum energy. And a lot of people don't realize that they have that energy in themselves. They, and to apply it to yourselves. A lot of people have given that to others, that nourishing energy. But it's a sort of escape then, if you do it too much to others and not to yourself. So a very deep eclipse here, for sure. And it all has to do with you. It has to do with your treasure, which is your emotional stability. So that is what where you want to go for. Even though you are afraid of it, examine it. Why you are afraid? Why, or do you think that you're not good enough? Why? What is it? If yes, you think that you can't relate to people because you have overweight, for instance, you try to do something about it, just a small thing. Then you feel that you have impact, and that's what this is all about. Or another example, if you feel that you are someone who cannot be alone, well, you force yourself to be alone then, but for like periods of time, and you allow yourself to be uncomfortable, basically. And then you kind of establish this nourishment. So for a lot of Aquarians, I see a lot of Aquarians at the moment now, of course, with these eclipses, that are going through a tremendous amount of freeing up when it comes to their emotions, that they allow those emotions, they understand them better. And what a healing is that. It's very healing energy for you. Last but not least, Pisceans. This is more on the mental level. This is happening in your 3rd house. So there could be a communication coming up from out of the blue, and that is actually liberating. It could come from the neighborhood. You know, the 3rd house is your neighborhood, your siblings. Out of the blue, there is a breakthrough. But the thing that is holding you back are your old patterns that you're not conscious of, which is Saturn in the 12th. So be aware that the better you know that, the better you structure and you kind of pinpoint those things that are unconscious, whether it is working with a therapist, whether it is analyzing your dreams, right? You are Piscean, you're good at that. I mean, all Pisceans are good at that. Analyzing even others' dreams. They can do it probably better than their own dreams. But now it's about your dreams. It's about, what are they saying you? Is it a fear that has to do with deep patterns, family patterns? That's Saturn in the 12th house. So the 3rd house is also a house of communication, but it's also a house of learning. So there could be new things that you're going to learn and that open up your horizon. And you're a bit afraid to do that, but let it happen. And it's going to enlarge and really making that perspective so much broader and also so much more practical, because the 3rd house is a practical house. So when you are traveling, watch out for all of a sudden things that can occur, like delays or this or that. But again, the key here is to manage your unconscious patterns, to make them first of all conscious. That's the first thing. And to listen to what are other people saying to you that you might not like. Again, those siblings, those people of your environment, they're teaching you something very important. And so they can do a communication that you're not like, that you don't like, but ultimately it's going to free you up. It's going to make you more free. And everyone wants that. You don't want to, it's like, you know, Saturn in that 12th house, it's like the devil, you know, the card in the tarot is your own thinking, your own patterns of the past are holding you back, and they have and you don't want to give them up because they have served you for such a long time. It's that energy. And to release that. So it could also mean some mental narratives that you are saying to yourself that you're releasing and that you are changing. And because of that, you feel more free. And that's a beautiful thing, right? On that very positive note, I'm going to stop this video. And thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a very, very good eclipse time. And all the best to you. Bye-bye.